Social media is not a foreign concept to people today. In fact, teenagers are commonly known for growing up in what some may call the age of social media. For some, it controls their life even if they don't realize it. Whether you realize it or not, there are both positives and negatives that social media has on teenagers today. Of course, the effects of social media are not limited to teenagers alone. However, for the purpose of this speech, I will talk about the effects that it has on this singular group of individuals. In an article written by Katie Hurley, she discusses the various effects that social media has on teens, both positive and negative. Hurley mentions a study that was done by the University of Pittsburgh, which discovered that teens who spent more time on social media were more heavily impacted by its negative effects. In fact, this study showed that teenagers who spent more time on social media were 2.2 to 2.6 times more likely to have eating or body image issues. Hurley's article also discusses a separate study done on teens ranging from age 13 to age 18, which was completed by the UCLA Brain Mapping Center, in which they discovered the connection between receiving a higher number of likes on pictures or posts and the brain. Through this study, it was found that when an individual receives a like on social media, the part of the brain that handles feelings of reward begin to react. While this may seem harmless, if teens become so focused on this rewarding feeling, they may begin to do or post crazier things. They could involve themselves with various challenges that tend to take over social media from time to time, and these challenges are very rarely helpful in any way, and they're more dangerous than anything else. Another alarming effect of social media is how teens begin to put up barriers. They confine themselves in these walls that they have put up as a result of their use of social media. An article by the Child Mind Institute explores this idea in more detail. The article discusses how the teenage years are vital for creating long-lasting friendships or relationships. Through the use of social media, teens are no longer able to clearly communicate their feelings with other individuals. With that being said, this means that these teens are no longer able to hold a standard conversation from which a friendship would blossom. Because of this, some teenagers who use social media more tend to find it much more difficult to not only make new friends, but to strengthen the friendships that they already have. If a teenager is finding it difficult to make or sustain a friendship, this could possibly lead to feelings of loneliness. Overall, these feelings are not good for a teenager to have for an extended length of time, and they can lead to further issues if not handled properly or immediately. Probably the biggest issue regarding teens and social media is the fact that they are stuck in their phones all of the time and struggle to hold face-to-face conversation. Many of the articles that I read discussed this as a contributing factor towards the negatives of social media. In fact, this is one of the biggest negatives of social media in my own opinion. Through spending such a lengthy and quite honestly excessive amount of time on their phones, teenagers are lacking common skills. In my own interactions with younger teens, they struggle to talk to someone else face to face. They would much rather be communicating with them through their phone. An article published by verywellfamily.com explains that through this lack of face-to-face communication, teens can be unable to correctly identify the emotions of others. By communicating with others through their phones, it is more difficult to pick up on various cues that are given that would tell these teens which emotions are relevant or not when having a face-to-face conversation with another individual. While there are plenty of negative effects that social media has on teenagers, there are also some positive effects. An article published by Engadget.com explains that some teenagers feel that a positive effect of social media is the fact that they are able to stay in touch with their friends and family no matter how far apart they are. In fact, a study that was mentioned within this article states that teens felt that they were more connected to others as a result of social media. I found this quite interesting as it states that those teens feel more connected to others, while many of the other articles that I read mentioned that teens were unable to connect with others as they felt necessary. Today I talked to you about mainly the negative effects of social media. However, I also mentioned a positive effect that it holds. The positive and negative effects of social media on teens are by no means limited to the few that I discussed today. This is a topic that feels as if it is never ending. No amount of information will truly determine whether or not social media is something that is a positive or a negative aspect of society.